What up, everybody? It's your boy CG back at you guys again with some more cryptocurrency news and information. Now, before I get into today's articles, if you could all do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button. It's the easiest thing you can do to help support the page. It takes less than a second, and it's the number one thing you can do to help bring awareness and help grow the channel. And I really appreciate all my supporters who would do that for me. But getting into today's topics, first and foremost, we're going to talk about the Bitcoin right now. Like I said before, last week or so that I've made my reemergence. I have stated that we're gonna hover around maybe the 6,000 to 7,500 region, or in that area. I think at first I said 6 to 7,000, but to be fair, we're going to see a little bit some overages sometimes, but I don't think it's going to get too crazy until maybe leading up to like maybe a week or two before the the halving, which takes place in a couple weeks. And even then, maybe it won't take place, as far as the bullishness. Maybe the bullishness is coming from 3,800 levels to the $7,500 levels. Maybe that's what the bullishness is. Maybe that big jump was the halving jump, but you never know. It could be anything. But without further ado, today's first article: Binance's U.S. arm to launch Tezos staking this week. So for anybody who's accumulating Tezos or stacking Tezos or whatever you want to say that you're doing with your cryptocurrency assets or your digital assets, Binance is opening up staking on their platform to US traders. And this is I would say it's a big deal because Binance's US arm doesn't have as many cryptocurrencies available on their platform as their parent exchange does, which is the original Binance exchange that they had. But it's really interesting because we're given the opportunity to create passive income on the internet in the US legally through cryptocurrencies. So it's really interesting for anybody who has Tezos and has been staking Tezos or doing a real long roundabout process of doing it. Binance is making it easier for you. I don't know what their coverage, I say coverages, what their fees may be that are associated with the staking. Not too sure. Maybe it's just the fees you take they take from withdrawing your cryptocurrencies from the exchange. Still, not too sure what that may be or what's up with that. I've never actually used the staking platforms on Binance. I would much rather take the more hard I would say the more roundabout methods because at the end of the day you are to a certain extent trusting your cryptocurrencies with a centralized organization or central figure. So yeah, I would more so lean towards the just learning how to do the staking on the tools that you've been provided already by the creators of the asset that you may be holding. But yeah, on to the next piece of news. Crypto scammers are losing profit and or revenue during the coronavirus crisis. So essentially, like a lot of like this is not necessarily a result of the coronavirus, but since the coronavirus crisis has begun, there has been some type of drop in the amount of revenue that a lot of these scammers have been making in their cryptocurrency scams. It fell from a high of around $800,000 in January of 2020, and it sits around maybe 300,000. Now, this could all just be a coincidence. It could all just be a really big coincidence. Like maybe they're just having a dry spell. Maybe people are just becoming more and more aware of how to protect themselves in the industry. Who knows? It could be a number of things. But all we do know is that scammers are not making as much money as they once were, even though scams are becoming more and more prevalent as time goes on, because more and more people are understanding that they could dupe a couple of people who are novices in the space and make some free cash. But hey, that comes with everything. I think there are scams everywhere. It's just about making yourself knowledgeable of the fact and knowledgeable of methods that you can use to prevent yourself from losing any of your money. But yeah, guys, you guys can check out the article. It's going to be linked in the description in the bottom of the video. Next article: Will blockchain technology be used to build evil social credit systems? This is a big topic, or for me it is at least, because I've seen movies where, or not even just movies, I've read things, or fictions, if, as you may call it, where people are placed in kind of like, well, we're already numbers in a system to a certain degree. But what happens when everything you've ever done is held against you? Like, it doesn't matter what you've done. No matter if you thought you did it in private, whatever it may be, a regular interaction with somebody, whatever you may think is just normal in your everyday life that you feel like should not affect you in any way. What if that stuff started to actually affect you in society, and they actually held that against you when it comes to what maybe it is when it comes to having getting a new job, or getting a loan, or leaving the country even, or just doing things that you normally wouldn't have to worry about, as far as like your social habits or your private habits. You normally wouldn't have to worry about those things interfering with, let's even say, your financial achievements, or your status, or just getting access to things. What if those things started being able to affect that? Your private life is no longer your private life. Your private life directly affects your, even though in some ways your private life does affect your social your social status or finances, whatever it may be. But for to us, like, that's like a really, really small type percentage. Most of the stuff people do behind closed doors is what they do behind closed doors, and it should be left at that. But when you have people who are looking at building social credit systems that could potentially degrade you to, how can I put this, far less than what you are, and literally for things that people should, it's none of their business, people are now judging you about things that really is none of their business. So it's kind of scary to think about that type of world. Like, for instance, there was a book I read, I think it was called 1976 or 1986. I can't remember exactly what the name of the book was. It was by George Orwell, I think. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't read it in a while. Yeah, in that book, people were literally being watched everywhere, every second of the day, and it did not matter what they did. It could have been the slightest, smallest thing. You could literally be dubbed a criminal for something as little as thinking differently than somebody else. And that was a really scary dystopian future perspective that that book laid out. And the fact that it could actually really be a possibility should scare people even more, especially when we see real live or real world applications of these methods that they use in fictions or books like that, that talk about these possible, how can I put this, authoritarian societies where people aren't allowed to be different or think differently. So yeah, it's scary that people are looking at blockchain technology and taking the things that normally would be good about it and turning it to use it against the people. And it's not even, because there's people in the world who will take something and use it for bad, but normally that's just the few who do that. Imagine when your biggest central authority or figures um are all conspiring to do that in your face. It's not like it's being done behind closed doors or something like that. This is in your face, they're doing it, especially with China. This article talks about how China's already implementing a social credit system. Thank God I don't live in China. I don't think, even if I was to grow up in China, because a lot of people in China, they don't seem to realize how their government how runs things, or even, I don't think they've experienced other places for them to really understand that China, the way they handle their people or deal with their people, is like ruling, is like what a parent beating their child, or it's a communist country. Let's be real, it's a communist nation. So just the fact that people don't really understand that they're living in a communist nation, can you imagine a couple centuries from now when when this generation that understands these things dies out, and more people are being born into this new system, and they grow with this system, so they believe this system is normal. That's a scary thought. That's basically what happened in China, and the fact that you're starting to see traces of it and hints of it in the Western worlds where they really value things such as freedom. Man, it's I feel like the people really need to really look at these things, rise up, and actually move in a direction that would be more beneficial for them. But nowadays, people aren't born like that. You know, they're emasculating the men, giving women more power. That soon all the people who would stand up to them and would actually go out and fight for these rights aren't going to exist anymore. And it's a scary thought. So my whole thing is to get my money, get together, and just go find some place to do my own thing and not worry about these types of things. Or at least as far as my family goes, I feel like we're not gonna ever fully escape if the people don't get their shit together now. But yeah, you guys can check out this article. It says most of the stuff that I was talking about, but for the most part, um, if you guys want to take a look at it and examine it for yourselves, you can. All right, next and final article. Crypto exchange traffic in Russia rises by over 5% amid the coronavirus pandemic. So, crypto exchange related traffic surges 5.56% in Russia. So, we've kind of talked about this before. We're seeing a, a resurgence of a lot of cryptocurrency queries, people looking into the Bitcoin halving, people wanting to buy Bitcoin since the big pullback all the way down to the 3,800 range, and people really want to benefit from this. People really want to see how much money they can actually make from this industry, and it's cool to see a lot of people starting to, how can I put this, have that cryptocurrency flame reignited inside of them to actually want to take part, especially considering the fact that cash is starting to look like a less viable method of transactions, especially in modern society. Like more and more, if you guys think about it, a friend of mine's was said this the other day that we're already in a cashless society to a certain degree. It may not be the perfect cashless society, but if you think about it, Zelle, Apple Pay, being able to do all these different types of payment methods with your watches, with your phones, debit cards, credit cards, all that stuff. A cashless society has low-key been being implemented for a long time already. It's just we're finally kind of coming to a head where it's like, okay, we're at the point where we really don't need fiat anymore. Do we really want to carry on using this method of transactions? So we're right there. We're really right there. I'd say we're damn near on the cusp of a huge change. But who knows? They may leave fiat around. They may discourage the use of it in larger transactions, kind of similar to like I was stating with Australia. And they may even discourage the use of fiat use on even smaller transactions than a $10,000 transaction. It's kind of scary when you think about it, but hey, DDoS attacks, denial of service attacks on cryptocurrency exchanges also jumped around 486%, almost 500%. Well, that's what you get, when you trust your cryptocurrencies with, like I was saying earlier about Binance, a lot of these centralized exchanges to house your cryptocurrencies and to even trust them with protecting your assets. Even though in a traditional financial system, they do kind of protect your assets to a certain degree. They have insurance to back everything up. It's not the same with cryptocurrency exchanges because a lot of them are looking to save themselves before they're looking to save you. And we've even seen it in the case of the Cryptopia exchange hack that happened a couple years ago, maybe a year or two ago. like maybe a year or two ago, like a year and a half, maybe up to 2 years. They're just now reaching decisions on the settlements for the customers or the clients of Cryptopia, and I don't even think we're still at the point yet. I said still at the point. I don't even think we're at the point yet where clients are going to start seeing their money being refunded to them or their assets being sent to them. So yeah, just be on the lookout, people, because these things do take place. This is cryptocurrency, and it literally we are still in the wild wild west stage to a certain degree. Even though we're seeing larger and larger players coming in, that doesn't mean the danger's gone. But this has been your boy CG. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe, and if you haven't, hit that like button. Peace.